103.2 Preston FM.
Keeping it local.
In Britain, there are 60,000 looked after children. And what an incredible journey it could be, the chance to make a real difference to the life of a young person, to make it more rewarding. And somebody who's done that is my first guest in the studio, and it's Tony Baldwin. So, Tony, a very good afternoon to you.
Thank you, Hughie. Thank you for inviting me.
Lovely to meet you.
And hi to all those tuned into Preston FM.
Good. Now, can we first of all talk about, and if I can get you quite close to the mic so everybody can hear you nice and clear, that should be good. Tony, thank you. Can you tell us, as a family, how did you make, and how long ago now, how long have you been fostering? How did you make the decision to foster a child?
I've been fostering with my wife Anne for nearly 6 years, and we've been thinking about it for a while, but we were both working full time, and then my wife retired, and we thought we'd a spare bedroom, so we thought we'd give it a try. So we made contact with Lancashire County Council, because we didn't want to do it as a job, so we didn't make contact with an agency. We just wanted to do it really for the children.
Right.
And that's how it started, and then they got back to us and started the ball rolling of being assessed and jumping through all the loops.
And at that time, did you have a family of your own?
Well, we've got a daughter, Debbie, who's in her 30s, and she lives in Canada now.
All right.
And so, but we have got quite a large extended family.
So was there lots of discussion with family and with friends at the time before you made the decision?
Yeah, we sort of mentioned it, and they said, "Are you sure at your age do you want to be
and for lots of
down?"
people,
I said, "Well,
yeah.
You do what you want to do. Everybody's different, and we wanted to give something back, really, for what we've got a not a rich life, but an enjoyable life, and it's nice to give something back to the community, and knowing that there's these children out there that need some love and care." And that's how it all started.
That's why I think people who are listening, who maybe themselves are thinking about fostering in the future, I think this is why, we've talked to professionals on the programme whose role it is to do the assessments and to find the placements. But for people who are listening to the programme, maybe who are thinking of fostering, it's really nice to talk to somebody who actually has fostered themselves. Yeah. And as you say, I'm sure somebody listening now, if they talk to family or friends, will be given all different kinds of wise words of wisdom.
Well, you get negative and positive comments. But it's what you want to do yourself, isn't it? You take on board what people say. We always do.
Yes.
And you think about it and chat with your partner, because you can't do it on your own. Your partner's got to be on board just as much as yourself, because it's you need both of you to. But single people do foster. You don't have to be married, and but we are married, and we do it as a joint venture, you might say, and we each give something slightly different.
So before you actually agreed to foster, what were probably your biggest reservations that you had, or the biggest worries that you had?
Well, I'll be able to cope with the children that we are asked to look after, with the problems. You can have problems with kids anyway, your own children, and obviously these have gone through trauma and different things in their lives, and you want to bring stability back. But we just felt we could do that, and having gone through training beforehand as well, before while I was being assessed, and speaking to the social workers, we felt that we were capable of giving something that would help the children.
And I know things have changed, but 6 years isn't a long time ago.
No.
And there has been lots of criticism over the years for people who are fostering, one being the length of time it takes to go through the process, and another criticism at times has been the kind of intrusion into people's personal lives when they're about to foster. How did you find that process?
A bit daunting, really. It did take nearly 12 months. That was because they was very busy, Lancashire themselves, with their social workers. So they got an outside agency to come in to assess us. And so we were interviewed, our friends, relations, and they wanted to know what we did from the day we was born to what I was doing now, it was far more intense and invasive than I thought it would be. But looking back, I can understand the reasons. They want to know they got the right calibre of person, and you have nothing in your history and past that would be detrimental to any children you might have. And so I thought it was very good, really. I'm not saying it was fantastic all the time, people coming in and asking questions, but looking back, I can understand the reason. And it's just something you do, and you've got that goal at the end, haven't you?
Yes.
You go before the panel after it's all, and that was a bit daunting. There must have been about 20 people.
Yes, I can.
And you're asked questions, and even they were saying, "What are you doing? You want to be a foster carer at your age? Just enjoy retirement." I said, "Well, I wasn't expecting that one," but it was worth it, and we passed, and we've been doing it now for 6 years, and we've had 6 children, including the present one, and it's one of the best things we've ever done.
And how much say during the training and during the assessment, how much say did you have in the kind of child you wanted to look after, or what you could offer? Did you feel that people understood how you and your wife, wanted to cope with fostering someone?
Oh yeah, it was very clear that, and we indicated the age group that we wanted. We would take them out of that age group, because it's from birth up to 18, but we specified, if possible, 5 to 11. And that's more or less, we did have one a little bit younger. In fact, he was only 10 months, so he was quite a bit younger.
Wow, yes. Yes.
But we caught quite well, and I was glad we got the 10-month-old, because it was fantastic watching that development.
Wow. From
where he couldn't even sit up to walking and talking, and it was just great.
And that is really something, isn't it, to say that, because as you say, people were saying to you, well, you're at retirement point, so why would you want to be looking after a child? And yet here you are sitting in a radio studio and saying how thrilled and how nice it was to look after such a young child. What That's a lovely statement.
Yeah, to see them come on and just go forward and know that they're going to be a valuable part of the community in the future themselves. And you've started their foundation blocks of their lives, and as they grow, they build on that.
So if you've been fostering now for 6 years and had 6 children, are you more or less termed as short-term foster parents?
Well, we did specify we wanted to be short-term, because as we thought whether we could cope with one as we get older. But now we're still classed as short-term, which can be up to about 3 years, but we're quite prepared to take for children longer. And the social services will look at that view and say what's in the best interest of the children, which is always paramount, not what's for us.
Yes, yeah,
what is best for the children. Because you want to know that you're doing the best for them. If you can't offer that, you better if you don't take that child.
And again, sometimes there's been over time, although not as much these days, bad press about a child being placed with foster parents, and the foster parents maybe not being told all about the child's background and the reasons for being fostering. Have you always felt that you've been given all the information that you need for when that child's come along?
Being honest, not always, but that is because the social workers don't always know the information either.
Themselves.
If they've had to go and take a child emergency removal, they don't always know the background. They get as much information as they can, and so they just need to take that child out of that environment. And then within a few days, you have a meeting with a social worker, and then you have a chat, and you get more details about the child and what the child's needs are. But before a child's placed with you, even for emergency, they do have a background about you. They understand what your capabilities are. And it might be a child that's got real difficulties, but they feel that from your experience, your training, what children you've had in the past, you could cope with it anyway. And just to get them out, like I say, from a unsafe environment, and you look after them, that's more important initially. But it is important that you also know the full background eventually, reasonably soon, so that you can implement correct procedure with them. And I mean, some of them are sexually abused, and you've got to be so aware of.
Yes, all
things.
the different.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to safeguard yourself as well.
Yes, yeah, that's
children
an
in your
important
care.
part.
That is really important. And for personal care, my wife makes sure that she does everything. If it's a girl, and don't go in the bedroom, and make sure doors are left open.
And
So
I take it all that, of course, is dealt with within the training.
That's
and the
right. Yeah,
that
yeah. And it's ongoing training. You're not just left to flounder. There are people you can contact, and also all foster carers have their own designated social worker. So the children have one, and you've got one.
So there's always someone that you can talk to at the end of the phone if you have a concern or a worry.
Yeah.
How difficult is it when the child is then moving on for whatever reason, particularly with the young child? That must have been quite difficult.
Very difficult. Yeah, you just feel like there's something being wrenched from you. And they're always there in your heart, but they've gone on to something, I'm not saying better, but could be better, obviously, not being that big-headed, but they've gone on to either back to the parents or to a caring adoptive parents that are showing the love that child needs, and you feel pleased that you've been able to bring that child to that level and go forward, because they all come with baggage and they have a bubble round them, and you've got to chip away at that and be a good listener and help them along, because they're so vulnerable, these little children, and they've no control or say in their lives, and so you try and build up that confidence and give it back to them, so that they can speak to you and explain, and if they are older, if they have concerns, you can explain and deal with it, and only you don't pass on everything to the social worker, but obviously it's if there are certain things you've been told you need to pass on, really, but you try and keep things confidential with the child, and know that you build up that trust, which a lot of them haven't had in the past. They don't trust adults. And
I would imagine a lot of them have not had someone taking an interest in them, which is probably as important as, being able to talk to you. I would imagine the fact that, they've got somebody who wants to know how they've gone on at school or what are you doing. I would imagine they thrive on that.
They do, yes. Yeah, and take them, if they're interested in sports, help to develop that. After school activities, encourage different things, and I've just been on holiday recently, and a girl wanted to go on this up in the treetops in the lakes where you go on the wire flying. And I'll not go up a ladder, but I thought, well, she wants to do it. I was absolutely petrified, but you just do it, don't you? And the fact that you're doing it with her, they appreciate you doing things that you go the extra mile, and doing things together.
Because that probably never happened, maybe.
That's right, yeah. Taking them swimming, watching, football and whatever. And I'm very much, I've got a small holding. So if the children are interested in animals, getting them involved in that, horse riding or any, don't force it on them, but they're showing an interest, encouragement, really.
Right.
So you're now confidence.
Now in the 6th year, looking after the 6th child, and also you now go out to various events and with a stall giving information out about fostering. So again, that must, I think that says about the conviction that you have in the belief of people fostering children.
Well, that's right, yeah. We need more to come forward, and people from all walks of life. Race or creed and gender, it doesn't make any difference. All you have to be is over 21.
So is it for Lancashire County Council that you do the stalls?
Yes, I just do it for Lancashire County Council. I don't actually work for them, I'm just one of the foster carers, and they provide the training and the backup and financial package for looking after the child, so that you can obviously afford to look after the child, because children are not cheap to
especially these days.
That's right, yeah. They want all the latest gear and all cost, doesn't it? So they gave you what you might call a boarding allowance, for the child's needs, so that you can manage to do it.
And when you do you go out, because I know you were telling me you've just recently been out at an event with the stall. Do you find people are quite interested? What are they usually the same questions that people will ask of you as a foster parent?
Well, they just say, well, I think I might be too old, or I've no experience. And I explain that, I'm in my 60s,
so you're
still going strong.
Yeah.
And they provide training for you. And, so don't worry. And if you've got your own children, you can have a chat to them, and the social workers will come round and have a chat, and you can decide whether it really is for you, if you go into it deeper. Because when I have a chat to them, it's you're just skimming the surface in a way, really. You're just sort of trying to get that interest and planting the seed. So you ask them to go away and think about it, or pass the information on to a friend if they find that it isn't for themselves. Because someone will say, oh, no. And then they say, well, maybe. So I said, well, just take it away and think. I spoke to one lady, and her mother had been thinking about it for a while. And so she was really pleased, and she took the information so she could pass it on, and hopefully that will grow, and she will be involved. Because I don't follow it up with anything. I just plant the seed, really. Pass the information, yeah. And hopefully, you might only get one out of all the day, but it's worth it just for that one, really.
Right. So do you think your daughter, family, friends, do you think they're quite surprised that 6 years on you're still fostering?
I think they just accept it now that
part of life.
Yeah, we have young children.
Yeah.
And, they're so we're off on holidays and going away for the weekend, and we don't really do that. But we get more out of looking after the children, really.
I mean, would you also say, because you've just given the example about up in the Lake District, does it also give you a new lease of life and keep you young? I'm sure it must.
It does, yeah. You certainly don't sit at home watching television. You're out and about doing things, going on bike rides, and you view life different in a way, really.
Yes, I can understand.
I look at what how the children think, and being involved with the school, going in and seeing the teachers, how the schooling's going, and if you need extra tuition, we try and provide that as well, just to help the children along.
Right.
And
well, certainly talking to you, a very good advocate for fostering. And for anyone listening, if you've been thinking about it, and we've got some contact details, or Tony's got contact details for you, if you could give them out for us, Tony, that would be great.
This is for Lancashire County Council. The telephone number 0800 195 1183, or the website www.youcanfoster.org.
Brilliant. So there you are. If you go to the website and have a look and make contact, talk to someone. And have you got any event coming up quite soon that you're going to have the stall, or?
Not just at the moment, but I will be asking if any of the foster carers are organising anything, and I'll go along and give them assistance, because especially if it's there all day, it's nice to have a team.
I can understand that. In fact, just before I've got to move on, do foster parents meet up together? Do you have a kind of meeting where you all get together?
Once a month. In the different areas. Regularly. Yeah, they get speakers coming, or you just have a general chat. And it's nice to sound off with other foster carers. How's it going for them? And also in the training that you do. You can do it online, but I like to actually go to an event and
do it face to face.
You can talk to meet people. And you might have a bit of a problem. And when you're spoken to somebody, you realise that it's quite insignificant, really.
Right.
You can overcome it. So it's really good to speak to other foster carers, because they've probably encountered problems that you've got at the moment.
Well, can I thank you for coming in and talking to us this afternoon?
You invited me, thank you.
Been lovely to meet you, and let's hope we've whet the appetites of quite a few of our listeners who maybe have been considering about finding out more about fostering. So, Tony, thank you very much. Thank you.
Made by people like you.
Your community.
Your radio.
Your Preston FM.